Hello friends, today we will discuss constitution, constitutional law, constitutionalism and constitutional conventions. These interrelated concepts often lead to a lot of confusion, and a clear concept regarding the interrelationship of these concepts is very much required in order to have a complete understanding of the Constitution. Our discussion will primarily be based on the Indian constitutional law. By the term Constitution, we mean that grand document which lays down the philosophy of governance of a state, of a country. In a federal setup, Constitution is that grand dynamic document which constitutes the country. So by the term Constitution, we mean the text of the Constitution, the bare text of the Constitution, and we may include in it, after the Kesavananda Bharati's case, where it was decided that preamble is a part of the Constitution, the preamble, all the articles, the schedules. By constitutional law, what we mean is this entire text of the Constitution, plus, in addition to that, the law evolved by the Supreme Court of India and the High Courts while interpreting the various provisions of the Constitution, and the various commissions appointed under the Constitution which elaborate on the provisions of the Constitution. For example, say when we discuss center-state relations, it is a part of the constitutional law, the decision given by the Honorable Supreme Court in S.R. Bommai's case, and also the Sarkaria Commission. So constitutional law means the bare text of the Constitution plus the law evolved while interpreting the various provisions of the Constitution by the apex court and by the various high courts of the country, which may include the various doctrines which were evolved by the Honorable Supreme Court while interpreting the various provisions of the Constitution, like doctrine of severability, doctrine of eclipse, doctrine of pith and substance, doctrine of colorable legislation, doctrine of legitimate expectations, and the like. Now friends, what is constitutionalism? The ism of anything is the philosophy of something. The ism of, say, Gandhi is Gandhism. The ism of Marx is Marxism. So it denotes an ideology, a set of principles which are based on certain ideas, or rather certain ideals. When we speak of constitutionalism, it means those essential principles or those benchmarks which guarantee certain safeguards or limits on the power of the government, like the rule of law, the separation of power, judicial review. All these may be called the benchmarks of constitutionalism prevailing in a state. The test of a society ruled by law is how much does it adhere to the constitutionalism and how much does it deviate from it. Constitutionalism may be categorized, if we try and interrelate it with the Constitution, that constitutionalism is the goal, wherein the means is the Constitution. So there may be countries where there is a constitution, but there may be no constitutionalism. Or there may be countries where there are no written constitutions, but yet there is constitutionalism. For example, United Kingdom has no written constitution, but there is constitutionalism prevailing there in the form of rule of law, in the form of judicial review. All those things are there. But there may be a country which has a written constitution, but constitutionalism may not be prevailing. The best example which comes to mind is the Hitler's Germany. When Hitler was ruling Germany, at that point of time, there was a written constitution in Germany, but there was no constitutionalism. So by constitutionalism, we precisely mean rule of law and not rule of men. So whether constitutionalism is prevailing in a country or a state or not is a question of fact, which has to be answered by determining or testing the adherence to the benchmark laid down in the philosophy of governance of that country. Say during emergency period in India, if we ask ourselves, was constitutionalism prevailing? If we track the situations or the events during those times, we would not very confidently say that constitutionalism was prevailing in India at the time of the emergency. Now, friends, what is constitutional convention and how is it related to the constitution? Conventions are certain usages over a period of time which assume the status of constitutional law or constitutional practice. The best example of constitutional conventions can be seen in the UK. In India also, we have certain constitutional conventions. For example, the leader of the majority party is invited to form the government. That is a constitutional convention which we have emulated from the United Kingdom. The cabinet form of government, the word cabinet, it is also the result of a constitutional convention, again borrowed from the United Kingdom. So, friends, we now should not confuse between the words constitution, constitutional law, constitutionalism, and constitutional conventions. Thank you very much.